Hi, welcome to episode 31 of CultureWatch Radio. I'm Andrew Smith, and with me is Bill Muhlenberg. Bill, the Satanists, atheists and others suddenly care about religion. Again. What is the world coming to?
Well, Andrew, it's in a sense, it's always been this way, but yeah, they've certainly been making a stink of late. The context, at least here in Australia, being we've just done, again, our national census. I think they've been going since, 1911? This is the 18th. I think every 5 years since 1961 it's been done. But for the first time in, as far as I can tell, the God haters are in a bit of a kerfuffle here. They've been quite agitated about the census, specifically questions about religion. So they've actually mounted a whole campaign trying to encourage people to tick the no religion box. It seems they're obviously afraid that Pentecostal Scott Morrison, our Prime Minister, is just about to become an Ayatollah, to turn Australia into Iran, a horrible religious theocracy, will round up all the non-believers, put them in camps, if not execute them. I mean, that's the impression you get from these guys who have mounted this campaign. You have all the usual suspects. You have the atheist groups, the rationalist societies, so-called secular humanists. They all put out a big campaign to get people to tick no religion, as opposed to, what in fact most Australians, just like most humans on the planet forever, have been, and that is religious in one form or another.
Yeah, I've got the audio from one of their videos that they put out as part of that campaign.
Hi, I'm Meredith Doig, President of the Rationalist Society of Australia. I'd like to talk to you about the census that's coming up in August and the religion question. As a rationalist, I'm pretty keen on good evidence, which is why I'm urging all Australians to think really clearly about how to answer this question. Census data is used by governments and other organisations to shape a lot of the decisions they make about funding organisations, and also about the voice and the influence that organisations are accorded by the media. Like many of you, religion is not really relevant to the way that I live my life, and so I'll be marking no religion on the census. If you're the same, if religion is not relevant to the way that you live your life, mark no religion on the census and join us in our campaign. Spread the word.
Now, Bill, she's previously been a Senate candidate for the Sex Party. Now she's a rationalist. I mean, it can't be easy finding a position for yourself when you're against God.
Well, it's interesting what she said there. A lot of things can be said in reply. In fact, one thing that clip did not feature, but she also had a recording in which she was actually praising the Satanists in Australia, saying they're a wonderful group, nice people, very rational. So here is a clear-cut religious group. Yes, Satanists are religious in nature. And here she was singing their praises, probably in the same interview that you took the clip from. A couple of other obvious things. I would like to think most Christians are rational. We, too, run with the evidence. In fact, the Apostle Paul talks about if there's no resurrection, we have no faith. He made a very rational case for believing in Christ. And again, even the U.S. Supreme Court, I think back in 1962, declared that secular humanism is a religion. So, the idea you can get away with, all you religious people are evil, but we are not, well, that's just foolish. Plus, if you read between the lines of what she just said, she's worried about government funding, and sounds like what she really wants is, hey, we want more funding. So if we can somehow convince the governments that there's a whole bunch of us atheists out there and we deserve more money for some reason, that's part of her agenda. But this whole thing really stinks. I mean, the truth is, as we said, most people are religious. To simply click on the no religion option is, well, it's quite misleading. The atheists would seem to think, if you do that, that means you're an atheist like us. But there's all kinds of people who are very religious, very spiritual, but they may choose the no religion option simply because they're perhaps not going to a formal church, they're not part of some institutional religion, but they're still nonetheless quite religious. And again, this gal let the cat out of the bag, maybe the pagan cat out of the bag, by praising the Satanists, which are clearly a religious group. So on a whole many levels, these guys got some real issues, and what lies at the bottom of it, I think, is a hatred of God.
Yeah. I mean, surely the atheists are the spiritual equivalent of vegans. I mean, they insist that there's no God. And theoretically, they would just get on there with their lives and not care less, yet they are still obsessed and keep coming back. I mean, they just can't help themselves.
Yes, well, you're right in your analogy. It's one thing to say, I'm not going to eat any meat products and so on, but when you spend the rest of your life railing against those who do, attacking those who simply choose to have a different dietary option, it's the same here, and it's been said often. Atheist is somebody who says there is no God and I hate him intensely, and that often seems to be exactly the case. They may go on and on about there's no God, but boy, they spend all their time thinking and talking about God and railing against God. I mean, this is an issue here. They got problems. If it were really the case that I think the evidence is not there, I could be mistaken. Well, first of all, that's called agnosticism instead of atheism, which is, I think, a much wiser position to hold to. It says, I've got doubts. I can't be 100% certain. The truth is you can neither fully prove nor disprove the existence of God, at least by ordinary means. So to have an agnostic position, I think, is one that's justifiable, but the atheist position is just foolish. It's saying, I know all truth about all things in the universe. I've investigated this thoroughly, and I can tell you with absolute certainty there is no God. I mean, that kind of hubris, that kind of arrogance, even most good scientists, whatever their religious point of view, would never come to that place. They will say, even as what Socrates said, follow the evidence where it leads. And by the way, we had a famous atheist, Anthony Flew, who did just that. He left his atheism for theism because he followed the evidence. Of course, his fellow atheists turned on him, hated on him because of that. But hey, we all have to be open. We all have limited understanding of all things. And so I'll take an agnostic any day over the atheists.
So now they hate him as well as God.
Yeah, well,
I can see a pattern here. Yeah. Bill, getting back to the Culture Watch website this week, your reader Gilba had a really good point. There's no census listing for Christian, only denominational names.
Yes, one could ask why the census folks did their census as they have done. First of all, that option of no religion is on top of the list. I mean, why that? I mean, given that the overwhelming majority of Australians still are religious one way or another, you would think that would be reflected at least even in the order of the questions. But yeah, you don't have as such a Christian option. You've got a few denominational options, Baptist, Anglican, Catholic. But, well, there would be quite a few people who are Christians who don't necessarily identify with any one particular denomination. So, again, they're kind of left out of the picture here. So it seems even the way the whole census has been set up in terms of its religious question, it could have been done much better. Right now, it gives a rather skewed picture of things. And if anything, it's not the atheists who should be complaining about the way it's been designed. It should be other Christians.
Yeah. If anything, you could argue that no religion is the donkey vote when it comes to that question on the census.
Yes, exactly right. And again, it's a misleading option, as we said. Plenty of people don't go to church, don't have an official religion, but deeply spiritual, certainly do believe one way or another in the supernatural, that there's more than just the material realm. Of course, atheists say this is all there is. Only matter matters. Most people don't live that way, not just today, but throughout human history. Everybody almost has believed there is something more than just the material realm. There are things that cannot be measured in a science lab, right? Important things: truth, justice, beauty, love. Most people will not deny the existence of those things, but guess what? Can you weigh those in a test tube? Can you measure them in a science lab? No, they're all beyond the physical or the material. So again, the hardcore atheist is really going against, well, pretty much all of human history, and even today. Most of humans around the globe have some kind of religious or spiritual belief system.
Yeah. As always, there's more available at Culture Watch, and we'll see you again next week in another episode of Culture Watch Radio. Subscribe where you listen at SoundCloud, YouTube, and Rumble so you won't miss a thing.